Peace and love, peace and love. YouTube, what's going on? Imara Ifawuyi here, coming to you live from the beautiful city of Sao Paulo, Brazil. Um, and we need to get into it today. I just found out, I think it was a couple of hours ago, about the arrest of YouTuber. I guess used to be a YouTuber by the name of Floyd Wallace here in the city that I live in, which is Sao Paulo today. He is basically a passport bro. He is a self-proclaimed ex-trafficker, not ex-trafficker, but he's a self-proclaimed ex-tourist who was here in Sao Paulo looking to be on his way out of the country today when he got arrested, ran up on in a neighborhood here called Liberdade that I know well. And he is an American guy who basically got caught up involved in what appears to be a ex-trafficking ring here in Brazil that involved small children. Now, we're not talking about adults, grown women, nothing like that. We're talking about small children. I've heard the age of 6 thrown in the mix here. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about this one because every once in a while I do videos about passport bros here, just because it's a phenomenon that I think, we all need to kind of go over with a fine tooth comb, try to understand where these guys came from, why they are traveling the world, bringing chaos everywhere they go, and also why they think it's okay to, be misusing the women and the children of all these different countries for their deviant, sexual desires, or for the means of financial gain. And so basically, this Floyd Wallace guy, for those of you who haven't heard about it, got caught up here. He was appeared to be an Airbnb here in the city that I live in. Liberdade is an interesting area. It's a historically Black Brazilian area that now has been turned into what is like a Japan town. And so it's an area that we frequent just for, different Asian ingredients and things like that. But it has a very, very interesting history. So it was interesting to me that he got caught up in that particular region of town. But apparently he had been in Rio de Janeiro. He had been, I don't know, finding and gaining access potentially through the parents of small children in Rio de Janeiro, and was actually bringing those children to non-English speaking wealthy men. And the way he got caught up is real interesting because it was through rideshare apps and through rideshare drivers that kind of reported his strange behavior of having these ride shares sent out for these children is what got him caught up. So I'm going to go ahead, instead of trying to tell you off my dome, what happened. I'm going to go ahead and read one of the articles that's out, the news postings about it right now. And then we'll also go ahead and watch the video of his arrest here in Liberdade, in Sao Paulo, because what it looks like is he was on his way. The major international airport is here in Sao Paulo. So it looks like he had left Rio de Janeiro, which is about a 5 hour drive from here, 5.5 hour drive, came to Sao Paulo and was trying to get to the airport and got caught up on his way out of here. And I have a lot to say about this because I don't know why these guys think that Brazil is the place to come and be loosey-goosey and out here trying to run all these schemes and involved in all of this really disgusting stuff, because they don't play like that down here, especially with no foreign people. So I'm going to go ahead and read the article. Let me just put it up here. Give me 1 second. Hope y'all are having a great day. I don't know what's wrong with these guys. I always have to come on here and talk about these passport bros because they just be caught up in the stupidest stuff all the time. Let me see if I can pull this up. Share. Okay. All right. So we're going to read this. Floyd Wallace arrested in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Now, when I looked into this guy, he had such a long rap sheet. So it's some kind of guy that's kind of look a little bit off from what a lot of people are saying. I think he hasn't been very stable on YouTube as of recent, but he is someone that people understand to have some kind of mental instability of some sort. And that's coming from the YouTube streams that I seen. Auston Holleman, who is the guy that is the big, used to be the big passport bro proponent, and also got kicked out or ran out of Brazil previously because of some of his exploits and bad behavior here, right? And so it says, according to published reports on Globo, whatever, YouTuber and self proclaimed sex tourist Floyd Wallace Jr. was arrested on Monday, and so yesterday, in the Liberdade neighborhood of Sao Paulo, Brazil, under suspicion of coordinating the transportation of minors to meet with foreigners. Based on the reporting, an investigation began after app drivers reported strange rides where a foreign man requested transportation for children and teens in ride sharing vehicles without showing up at the pickup location. Wallace is alleged to have coordinated the trips, provided validation codes, instructed the drivers, and picked the destinations. The drivers reported that the minors were being taken to meet older men who did not speak Portuguese. According to the article, police investigators said the trips revealed a pattern of trips concentrated in specific areas of Rio de Janeiro, in areas near hotels and properties used as temporary accommodations. A video accompanies the article featuring police knocking on a hotel door and arresting a large black man who could not be clearly identified as Wallace. The man immediately fell to the floor as the door was opened, and you'll see all that. I'm going to play the video. Okay. So as the day has gone by, more and more information has come out about, what exactly he was doing, the ages of the youth, them being all the way down to the age of 6, and just more details about what he was doing. So I'm going to go ahead and play the video in a little bit, but I just have something to say because it's a little triggering for myself because I know that Brazil has had an issue with Smex trafficking and foreign people coming up in here looking for, in particular, children for a long time. And story time, when I lived here in Brazil it was in 2002. I was living in Salvador da Bahia, okay, up north. That's a very kind of Afro brown, highly melanated area of Brazil, even though Brazil is a very melanated country in general. And I was living in that city center, and I had, there's kind of like a tendency towards people, Americans and foreign people who are living up there to, come across street kids and different children who, don't have a lot of guidance. Either their parents are druggies, alcoholics, or something like that. They don't have a lot of guidance and parental support. And so you'll meet them in the streets, either hustling, selling something, doing something. And, every once in a while, one might attach to you, right? And so I had a little boy. I remember his name. His name was Edgy Nelson. Again, this was many years ago. He was a nice kid, really nice kid, talented, very spiritual child. He had like gifts, different gifts. Like I've seen him do telekinesis and like a lot of real special gifts before that I saw this youth have. And so I, hung out with him sometimes. I would give him money or buy him a plate of food every day or something like that. Like I just looked out for him because that's just kind of how it flowed out there, right? And so at a point, though, it started to get a little heavy because they become very kind of codependent or whatever. And so I was like, okay, this is not healthy. It's not the thing that I want to be doing right now, even though this youth, deserves help and support. But his parents lived in the favela and they were super like alcoholics, I believe. He just had a lot of issues. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to back off a little bit. So I started to back my energy off a little bit. And he kind of wandered off and, went off into something else. And it was so sad. I also had a roommate, a Nigerian woman, who used to help with him and liked him a lot too. And we would just, both just do little things for him here and there. And so I remember one day me and my roommate were out in this area called the Pelourinho, which is like kind of the historic center there in Salvador. And we were hanging out, and we seen the little boy, and he was up at a restaurant, and he was sitting, being fed by people. There were some looked like German men, from what I remember. They were Germans, and they were hanging out with him. And especially at my roommate at the time, the Nigerian woman she was real feisty. She was from London. And so we went up there and rolled up on them. Like, what are you doing here with him? We rolled up on them, especially her. She was way more feisty than me. And so she really went off on them. It was very sad to see, because it began to kind of get you to understand that this was just kind of a way of life for a lot of these children who are in full survival mode. At that time, I would hear about street kids in some of the major cities like Rio, Salvador, and stuff being taken out by the police, even like being hunted like for sport, like some real dark stuff, right? They didn't honor their humanity at all. And these were just children who came from poverty, who came from broken life and broken family. Very sad. So to hear that this guy, this Floyd Wallace guy, was up in, Rio de Janeiro, preying on children in the favelas, or whatever quebradas, whatever you want to call them, and using them to service wealthy, probably wealthy white men. That's what I'm assuming. Is just so nauseating. It's so disgusting. And so I'm gonna play the video. I did get really triggered by it because it just breaks my heart. But I'm gonna play the video of his arrest. It doesn't really give you a lot of context or whatever, but at the end of the day, this is supposedly a guy who's been on YouTube. He's been portraying himself as a passport bro out here. In other words, passport bro, someone. As a matter of fact, I think, let me see if it's in this article, but at Passport Bro, they are labeling this as Operation Passport here in Brazil, where they're going after Passport Bros. So them rolling up on him was part of a bigger operation where they're trying to find men, and particularly the Passport Bro movement is associated with brothers from the States who are out here, under the pretense of just being regular travelers and solo travelers, but are really looking to find, either women or children or whatever. I think most of the time they're looking for just women to take advantage of, right? And so I'm going to play the video of his arrest so you can see just a little bit of what was going on there. Let me see. Give me a second. I got to figure out this.
Sex tourists. The text
As soon as they entered the room, the American, identified as Floyd Wallace Jr., 29, was arrested in the Liberdade neighborhood in downtown Sao Paulo to play the evening game. He threw himself to the ground and was handcuffed. The operation was carried out by teams from the Homicide and Personal Protection Department in support of civil police officers from the state of Rio de Janeiro days. According to information from the Child and Adolescent Police Station, the American is accused of raping and sexually exploiting several children. In conducting their inspection of the hotel room where he was lodged, the police found a significant quantity of electronic equipment, including files containing child pornography. They also seized a variety of items such as pen computer, multiple cell phones, some stuffed animals, a watch with an embedded camera, and various other telephone devices. At the start of December, law enforcement commenced an intelligence operation following a report from a ride-sharing driver. Well, the driver stated that a user who had used a false name requested a ride with two minors. During the ride, the man spoke with the children who said they were going to meet an older man who didn't speak Portuguese. The girls couldn't explain how they knew him. That's when the civil police were contacted. On December 18th, the police identified the user who had requested another ride with the four underage girls. During monitoring, agents identified that the American had traveled to Sao Paulo the previous Saturday and was planning to flee the country. This is where the teams established a perimeter to prevent his escape. A temporary arrest warrant was served for the crimes of rape of a vulnerable person and facilitating the sexual exploitation of children. His passport was also seized. The investigation also revealed that the criminal had self identified as a sex tourist on social media profiles. According to the civil police, Floyd is a U.S. citizen and has a channel on a video platform where he posts videos of himself resisting police approaches and being arrested in.
Okay, so that is some of the background of what went down yesterday. Now let's get into it because I am just this is so perplexing to me. I don't really understand why these passport bros are, continuously getting themselves into all of this drama everywhere. But this guy was basically connected to Auston Holleman. And I have to bring him up because Auston Holleman is yeah, sorry about that. So Auston Holleman, I'm gonna write his name in the chat, he has his own YouTube channel, and he's kind of an interesting character. He's kind of a weird, like African American guy who initially he was really into this whole concept of the passport bro thing. Then when he realized that passport bros were getting caught up all over the world doing bullshit, getting caught up, abusing women, doing things, they just were creating a really bad name for themselves. He started to distance himself, especially after he got caught here in Brazil by basically a lot of feminists, like women that went after him, like activists and stuff that decided he was a terrorist. Feed. Okay. They decided Austin was just a little bit too comfortable getting on camera and talking about, oh, don't you like this girl? Isn't she beautiful? Da, da, da. Talking about the women in a demeaning and very just inappropriate way. And just kind of making it seem like the women here in Brazil are very like easy or skeezy or very easy to come up on, and just trying to appeal to other men to come out here. And so because of that, they saw him as being sexually exploitative, and they kind of ran him out of here. I think there was a lot of threats towards him. They even launched an investigation of him. And so now that guy is out in, I believe he's in Kenya. He came out to Africa. He ran into problems in Kenya as well, where they, got sick of his passport bro bullshit that he was trying to disassociate from, but the name is following him all over the world. So he started moving around South Africa, Southwest Africa, different areas, and ended up back in Cuba. I mean, back in Kenya. But basically, that guy, um, used to rock real hard with this Floyd Wallace guy. They were doing, and you know how it is if you don't know, here in the YouTube sector, there's a lot of kind of collaborations that take place between content creators and things like that. So I guess they had brought their content together at one point just to see both of them, level up here in the YouTube space. And so he was rolling with this guy down here in Brazil. He even had to do, and I'm not going to play none of his stuff because I don't want him trying to strike me, but he even had to do like a statement after all of this Floyd Wallace stuff came out, because he was rocking with this guy. He was rolling with this bro. He said he knew the dude was weirdo, but he didn't know to what extent, right? And it's like, well, it just is real interesting to me that so much negativity is coming up around these passport bros, when those of us who really know and look into it know that these are people who are malintended. They don't have good intentions, and it's sad that they're brothers from the US usually. They do not have good intentions. They are going around the world now. So before all of the abuse and the degradation and the degeneracy was happening in the US, now they decided to take it global because they want to have their way with as many women as they can, without being found out or without really being checked and held accountable for their bad behavior, right? But when they come here to Brazil, for some reason, these guys keep getting hemmed up, and it's very interesting. Either they're getting taken out, people are drugging them and taking them out when they're out here soliciting women and ex-Smex workers, or they, literally taken out, like gone, bye bye. Or they are getting hemmed up. This guy is facing 34 years in prison out here right now because that is the sentence for someone who's caught in Smex trafficking. Because not only was he using the children for his own deviancy and for the things he wanted to do, but he was also supposedly helping to funnel them towards buyers, people who wanted to have their way with them. And like I told you earlier in this particular live stream, I've had experience with realizing that the children here are very vulnerable, especially in certain urban areas. Not really here in Sao Paulo, because the children don't roam free here. This is a major city, but it's not a city where it's the type of poverty that people see in places like Rio and Bahia. The brown people, the melanated folks, the level of poverty that they experience in those cities is different. And so you will find people who are even trafficking their own children. Okay, you will find people who are so out of their minds, sick, that they aren't even paying attention to their children. So these children are wandering the streets. They're looking for help. They're looking for support. They're looking for money. They're looking for meals. You know what I'm saying? I've seen all of this firsthand. Hi, Pamela. Girl, what's up? Yo, this guy was supposedly found with 6-year-olds, or moving 6-year-olds around, teenagers, like young kids. It's just like, does it ever stop with these people? Like, what are you gonna? And I was watching a creator earlier today who, he is a brother and he travels. And I'm not saying all the brothers are moving like these passport bros. I would say probably a lot of them are, because of the type of mentalities they have. But I'm not saying they're all doing it, but he was like, when that whole title came out, that name, Passport Bro, he was like, this is dangerous. This is a problem. Because now everything that happens negative, it's going to reflect back on all the brothers, basically, the American black men that are traveling globally. And I would say, yeah, it doesn't look good. And it doesn't look good for any of us. I never, as an American who's living overseas, who's living abroad, I don't never want to see us in the news as doing something as egregious as this. You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy. Like, it's embarrassing. It's like we don't know how to go nowhere and act right. But at the end of the day, this is a global phenomenon. People are engaged in this level of egregious behavior all over the world. So it's not just black men from the US, but the fact that you would come out here and try to find your way. Like, you have to work to come to Brazil where they speak Portuguese. You have to work hard to be so deviant that you could get involved in crime out here. You know what I mean? Like you really got to work hard at that. That means it's something wrong with you. There's something severely wrong with you to come out here and get involved in that type of crime. But it's a big thing. And Pamela, I don't know how long you've been on, but like I was speaking about, and you probably heard the story before, but how I had a little play son or whatever, a little boy that I just, fed sometimes and looked out for when I lived in Salvador way back in the past. And this youth, how me and my roommate would look out for him, and then we seen him running around with some German men one day. And it was just real disturbing. We even rolled up on them because it was like, what is you doing out here with this little boy? Like, but he could have been doing the same thing we were doing, trying to feed him. We don't know. It might not have been, but the likelihood is that it was very problematic. You know what I mean? Because of just what we had been seeing going on around there. It might have been just the same thing that we were doing, buying the little boy a meal for the day. But it's just like you get to the point where you don't trust, especially men, and especially seeing European men somewhere like Salvador. But now we're talking about a brother, like, from the States, and they out here doing the same shit, doing the same nasty, low down, trying to, prey on youth, preying on innocence, preying on desperation of people who are living in, level of poverty nobody deserves to live in. No one. So it's deep. This thing really had me tripping. I think I learned about it a couple of hours ago, and I was like, what? So I did go look at some of Austin's commentary on it, which his commentary for me is always kind of, him trying to disassociate, act like, oh, well, well, I'm not surprised, but I don't really F with him like that. That's his whole thing. He's not surprised. So you knew dude was deviant. You knew dude was off, but you're not surprised. But then you was rocking with him. You were doing content with him, whatever, whatever. I'm not into trying to come on YouTube though and go in on another content creator or whatever. But it's just interesting to me that this particular content creator, Auston Holleman, first of all, is like obsessed with Brazil. So he's out in Africa because he can't really even be here like that because he got ran out of here. That's how intelligent the women and the people are here. They seen through him and they ran him out of here. But he's out in Africa talking about this in a very detached way, like he wasn't here rolling and rocking with this guy, just like he was doing the same with the guy Rello or whatever his name was that they had talked into coming out to Kenya, and he got caught up with some Smex worker, I guess, and trying to get her to do things she didn't want to do, and ended up getting a little violent, and it was caught on camera. Now, that whole thing was weird. It almost seemed fake. But just saying, this dude, Austin, is connected to all of these really strange, odd, creepy deviants, that are moving around the globe right now. So it's interesting. That's all I got to say. It's interesting. And I just say to people, if you're looking to come to Brazil, because the point of this particular channel is to support people who are looking to move in this direction, who are looking to start their lives over, to do different things. Don't come out here thinking you're gonna be able to run game on, on the system here. Like, Brazil is not a joke. Like, they are on point, doing crime, committing crime. You will get caught up. Things are very digitalized here. They know how to do some of the deep levels of investigation that we are used to seeing, like in the States and other countries. Like, they're on all of that here. You're not going to be able to come out here and get away with a whole lot of criminal activity, especially around trying to misuse and abuse their citizens. So just don't come out here with that energy. Do not come out here with that energy. This is not that people think this is like some, way off developing third world country or whatever. That's not what this is. And this is not the place to come to thinking you're going to be able to get away with a whole lot of craziness. And I just really want to express that to people, because it's like it's at the point now where we wish some of these people would just not even come out here. I don't even promote Brazil like that, because I'm like, I don't know if we even really want these people out here, because they don't know how to act. Like, come through with some good vibes, with some good intention. Don't come through here looking to exploit people. And it's sad. It's sad that once a lot of the brothers got the ability and the know-how and the mindset to want to travel and explore the world, outside of the guys that were already passport bros way back in the days because they were in the military or whatever. But the recent ones, because sisters have been out here more so for years, but the brothers has been coming a little slower. Now that they got out here, all they do when they come into these countries is talk about who they want to exploit, who they want to prey on, what women they looking for, how the women is doing this, how the women is doing that. This shit is a mental illness. It's a mental health. It's a mental wellness issue. You know what I mean? And it's like, I wish people would just think. And so, yeah, out here in Brazil, you're not going to be able to get away with all that. You will not. They will catch up with you, and they don't play. And if you end up in a Brazilian prison, it ain't going to be nothing cute. You think about what we used to hear about Mexican prisons. And like, one thing you don't want to be is in a Mexican, but you don't want to be in a Brazilian prison. And to be honest with you, this guy, Floyd Wallace, with him having a background of abusing children, exploiting children, doing all this different stuff, and you're not even from here either, you're a foreigner, a prison sentence for him here, it's probably going to be a death sentence. Okay, that's really what that is. And so, yeah, we need to get serious. For me, I'm like, stay your ass in the U.S. Like, if you're going to be out here acting a fool, running amok, stay where you are. That's how I feel about it. We don't need, that's why this channel is about supporting people moving to wherever they want to go, supporting people that want to leave the US just to get clarity of mind and more centeredness and groundedness in other places. But do not come here or anywhere else. If you crazy as hell, stay where you are, because it's just everywhere you go, everywhere you are, self, no matter what. If you're deviant, just stay where you are and try to get some help. This is, it's just going too far now. I'm tired. I don't want to. Let me see if I can get back up here. Yeah, it's not attractive. It's not nice. What we want are people who are ready to come start life again, have a good life in another country that respects humanity. You know what I'm saying? Unlike America, unlike the United States. I'm not even gonna say America. But what we want is to see people traveling, exploring, expanding, and building out and sharing their gifts in a positive way. Not coming looking for who's going to do this for me, who's going to do that for me. What women can I find to cook for me, give me sex, take advantage of them, use them. And a lot of these passport bros, they are moving around the globe and they don't even have shit other than maybe their little following on social media and whatever meager earnings. Some of them probably make good money, but whatever meager earnings they have from YouTube or whatever, a lot of them are just taking advantage of the exchange rate, basically. So they're just users. These are people who are taking advantage of a situation where they feel like they have an upper hand. Okay. So, yeah, y'all, that's it. I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I can't tell if, yeah, that's it. I want to talk about that. Whoever just came on, I was talking earlier about my experience, witnessing kind of the nature of Smex trafficking, especially for children here in Brazil earlier in the video, and just the Floyd Wallace fiasco and the fact that um, these people really think they can come out here and just act any kind of way and do any kind of thing. And it just is not the case. It's not a fact. Brazil is a developed country. It's one of the richest countries in the world. It's the Sao Paulo itself is the fifth largest city in the world. Um, Rio de Janeiro, it's like they think they can just go out there and have their way. Like you may be able to do some of that more so in Colombia or something like that, but down here, you gonna get caught up. You gonna get caught up, and you're gonna have to deal with the repercussions of your bad actions. So that's it. Is anyone on right now? Anyone want to ask questions or drop a little line here? Go ahead, feel free. If not, I'm going to jump off. But yeah, y'all, drop me any comments below if you've heard about this, if you have any additional information, how you feel about it. Peace and love, whoever just came on. But yeah, whatever you're thinking about all of this, just drop me a comment because to me it's disgusting. And it's just another disgusting thing that we have to hear about from these predatory beings who are traveling around and are only thinking about themselves and what they want and need. And unfortunately, they have the same skin tone as me, and they are, from the same country as me a lot of times, and they have terrible, terrible um, terrible intentions. This guy was supposedly caught trying to get 6-year olds, preteens, young people to go from one place to another in Ubers to go and service or deal with, whatever people who, other men or people that didn't speak Portuguese, right? So he was basically doing some middleman stuff where he was helping. That's the African. He was helping to get these kids to buyers, pay buyers. So that's sick. Not to mention they said he's supposedly our word is some of these children and has been dealing with them himself. So it sounds like it's some kind of PDF ring is what it sounds like, which is just So disturbing, so disgusting. And to come down to another country and go out of your damn way to try to be involved in something so disgusting. Yo, but this is the world we live in right now, y'all. Protect yourself, protect your children, watch out for your children. Don't let them children go off and be with nobody. And also, just make sure if you are in a global mindset and you want to get global and go out and travel and do things, that you do it with an energy of wanting to get back, to come into commune with other people, to connect with other melanated folks and to bring some good energy to the table instead of thinking about what you can take, what you can get from the situation. Because that is what a lot of these passport bros are bringing to the table, and it's very sick. All right, y'all. So peace and love. Have a good one.